Welcome back to Coffee and Conversation. So, Audie is in my lap, and we are in our third day of 100 plus degrees weather. It's been 102, actually, just to be really precise, for the past 3 days. I thought that was kind of odd, 102 each one of the last 3 days, but yep, that's what it's been. And Audie's patience is wearing thin with this weather. I mean, my patience is wearing thin with it too, but Audie seems to be taking this very personally. I thought today I would go in, take a nap, I don't know, maybe around 3 o'clock, just sleep during the heat of the day. And then I could film the video later in the evening. The problem is, I'm not sure if Audie really loved the idea of a nap or really hated it. Because, of course, he was in with me because naturally, bed, cat, cuddle, that's how his little mind works. But he didn't want me to go to sleep. He wanted me to sit up and pet a cat. That was his agenda. Consequently, there was no nap. There was an awful lot of cat petting, so Audie's happy. But for me, no, not so much. Anyway, we are going to quickly break for the intro. He's still playing. He's playing here. So we are going to break for the intro. I'm going to see if I can't figure out what to do with this crazy little cat, and we'll be right back. Well, Audie is still sitting here next to me. He's no longer trying to crawl into my lap, but he is right here. So we'll have to see how long he's willing to sit quietly. Fingers crossed. So, because it's been very hot and because I've had to keep air conditioning on in at least one room around here, mostly because 102 degrees is right at the edge of my ability to tolerate it. I needed to keep air conditioning on, but I only ever keep that going in one room because air conditioning bothers my sinuses. So if I've got air conditioning on, I'm going to be sniffling and sneezing. So I decided that since I'm going to be sniffling and sneezing anyway, I might as well start doing some serious cleaning, kick up clouds of dust, which are going to make me sniffle and sneeze. And that way, it's kind of like killing two birds with one stone. I have this certain amount of sniffling and sneezing, and I can either expend it just by sitting in the air conditioning, or I can make it work for me doing double duty. I can go into the air-conditioned room, start cleaning, and yeah, I'm going to be sniffling and sneezing, but I'm only going to be doing it once. It'll be for the air conditioning, for the cleaning at the same time. And crazy as that sounds, it actually made sense to me in the moment. So when I started looking at this, I began asking myself some questions about just cleaning in general, because this is an issue for a lot of us, and there are things in our homes that present more of a cleaning challenge than others. So, with that sort of global picture, what are the challenges? But because remember, I'm trying to economize on my grocery bill, and because of that, I'm trying to economize on all kinds of things all at once, I started looking at, globally, how do we get the job done with efficiency, with some degree of safety, because, none of us want to be sucking in toxic fumes while we clean, but economically too. And my final determination was that 90% of the jobs in your household can be handled by just two very inexpensive products. So, with that in mind, I immediately began researching, because it's all well and good to say this is the idea in the back of my head, but I want to see what the experts have to say, and I want to see what the research is. And it turns out that I am not the only one who is going to be advocating this. So, let's start with one of the most troublesome jobs in the home, and that is cleaning glass. Windows, mirrors, shower doors, even the pictures hanging on your wall. If it's a glass surface and it needs to be cleaned, this does cause a lot of problems for people. And, you'll be sitting there with your expensive bottle of Windex and your fancy microfiber cloth, and you're squirting the bottle and you're wiping with the cloth, and then when you're done, you look at it and you say, I can't believe this. This is all streaky and linty, and I hate this. Well, what we need to do is not just change the products we're using to clean our glass, but we also need to make some changes in the way we clean our glass. So let's start with the products. There are two of them, and these two products, very cheap, they will handle 90% of your cleaning, not just the glass. One is white vinegar. Now, you can get white vinegar almost anywhere. Here in the US, it's running at about $4 a gallon. And I did cross-check with UK pricing on this. And in the UK, of course, nothing is sold by the gallon in the UK, but I did check, and the cost for white vinegar is around 75 cents, 75 pence for a liter, and 4 liters is a gallon. So it's right in the same ballpark, under $4 for a gallon of vinegar, period. I'm assuming that in Australia and Canada, wherever you want to go, vinegar is probably just about the same price. In other words, dirt cheap. Now, you can buy it at a fancier store and pay more money for it, but I was going to say you're not going to get fancier vinegar. Yes, you are. But you don't want to use like the fancy tarragon vinegar to be cleaning your glass. You want plain white vinegar. That's it. So that's the first product. The second product here, Dawn dish soap. Now, this is a grease-cutting dish soap. You can use any brand you like. I prefer Dawn for a variety of reasons, not the least of which this bottle, which is about 8 ounces, it's about a cup of dishwashing liquid, costs just under $1. I think I paid 95 cents for this. And by the way, this is one of 2 bottles of Dawn I keep going in my house all the time. This is also the size I will buy. I don't buy the giant, 32-ounce bottles because it's so cheap. It makes sense to me to buy a size I can easily store, grab and go, so to speak, rather than, get a giant size bottle that is more difficult to store, and I'm not saving that much money. I mean, if this is 95 cents, you got to know there's just not that much money to be saved buying something like this in bulk. This is Green Dawn, which I think is apple blossom scented. One of these sits next to my kitchen sink. One of them sits in my laundry cabinet because I will use this as a laundry pre-treater in case I've spilled grease on something. Again, grease cutter. So you take your vinegar. Remember, $4 a gallon. Cheap, cheap, cheap. Cup of vinegar. Few drops of Dawn dishwashing liquid. And then your next item is completely free. It's water. Add a cup of water to it. So, cup of water, cup of vinegar, couple of drops of dishwashing liquid. There you go. that's what you're going to use to clean your windows with. Now, considering the fact that you've saved so much money over buying the Windex, which is going to cost you, what, $4 or $5 for a 1 quart, what is that? Quart is, for one quart / 1 liter bottle. It's going to cost you $4 or $5. So you're saving tremendously going in. Take a little bit of that money and buy a squeegee. They're dirt cheap. I keep 2 squeegees, mostly because I always want to make sure I have one. And I think one of them cost $5, the other cost $10. And yeah, you can, if you're careful with them, they will last a very long time. If you're not careful with them, well, you know, it's like $5. So if it only lasts a year, are you going to be heartbroken? Now, you're washing your windows, you've got your vinegar water dish liquid, you scrub your windows with it. You could do this with a paper towel, or if if you are still in this money-saving track, just a regular cleaning rag, soap up your window, squeegee. Just squeegee the excess off. Then, and here is the brilliant part, then you're going to want to polish your window. Just wipe it down one final time to get rid of all of the residual moisture that might be there, get rid of streaks. What you're going to use for that is a handful of crumpled newspaper, which is free, because it doesn't have to be today's newspaper. It can be last week's newspaper. It's somebody paid for it, you paid for it, your neighbor paid for it, or in some areas you get newsprint circulars from local grocery stores. We get them in my area. Just free newspapers that people send to you. So old newspaper is 100% free. The water, well, it's a cup of water. And yes, of course, we all pay a water bill, but believe me, by the time you get down to figuring out the cost of a cup of water, it is so small, you can't even calculate that independently. Now, you got your crumpled newspaper, and you just buff up that pane of glass. It only takes a few seconds. Don't worry about the ink from the newsprint. When I first did this like 50 years ago, I was concerned about that, and dead wrong. You know, no problems, no ink transferred onto the window. It often transferred onto my hands because my hands were wet. But as long as I wasn't smearing my fingers on the window, no harm, no foul. The reason newsprint works so much better than anything else is because it's mildly abrasive. It's a thicker paper. It's a little on the scratchy side. And that abrasive will help to polish the glass. Also, it is incredibly absorbent. So that is another advantage. The fact that it's free, yep. So let's talk about what else this little combination of dirt cheap household cleaners is going to do for you. How about soap scum? You end up getting soap scum or mineral buildup. Well, it's amazing the way vinegar, which is slightly acidic, will cut through that scum. Best thing you can do for it. Can you go out and buy like CLR, I believe that's the name of CLR, or those other mineral deposit cleaning chemicals? Sure you can, but they're expensive. Vinegar is cheap. Will it do the same job? Yes, it will. So, soap scum. What about greasy messes? Oh, yeah. Vinegar, again, slightly acidic, will help cut through the grease. Remember, our dishwashing liquid is already a grease cutter, so we've got this covered. Now, window glass, soap and mineral buildup, grease. These are among the most challenging household cleaning jobs. And we've got them all covered with the same little batch of cleaning liquid we've made just for the windows. Now, in some cases, you might want to up the percentage of soap. Like I said, when we're doing this in 2 cups, which is a pint of cleaning liquid, a few drops is all you need. But if you really want to get in there and like scrub with a lot of soap, sure, you can add a little more of your dishwashing detergent. But ultimately, it is one, I hesitate to even call it a chemical, but it is one cleaning chemical that will do 90% of your cleaning for you. Now, while we are staying on this subject, let's talk about something else, because another problem that I saw in my research that people are concerned about when they are cleaning is smells and like mildew odors in the washing machine. Oh yeah. Vinegar. Just run through a cycle with no soap, just a regular wash cycle with a couple of cups of that same cheap white vinegar. That will get rid of your odors. It will kill off whatever bacteria is causing the smell. It's acidic, remember? So that will take care of it for you. But here's where we depart from just cleaning. The reason that one sort of took me by surprise when I was researching is because I don't have that problem. And the reason I don't have that problem is because I leave my washing machine lid up for about a half an hour after I finish doing a load of laundry. The laundry comes out, the lid stays up. Why? Because I want that drum to dry out completely. And I can't do that. If I decided I wanted to dry out my washer drum, I could take a towel, I could rub it clean, but there's still water trapped in the areas under and around the drum. Remember, the water flows out into a hose. You want to get rid of all of that, so just leave the lid up. Prevention is a lot better than fixing the problem, and this one has such an easy prevention. So, where does this leave us? One final difficulty that people encounter when they are cleaning that I thought we would discuss. I was hoping Audie wouldn't be here for this, but he is. He's still right here, and that's pet hair. You see, I hate talking about his pet hair when he's right here. He's going to start to think I'm picking on him, and maybe I am. Pet hair getting caught in carpet upholstery, and this is a problem, and you vacuum and the pet hair is just not coming up. Now, here's why. And see, I think a lot of this makes more sense to people if people understand why a certain product does a good job cleaning or why they're having the problem in the first place. So the explanations are, at least to me, just as important as the solutions. Pet hair, because it is an organic material, will sort of get trapped in the carpet fibers or fabric in the upholstery because of static cling. It's that simple. The reason it's so hard to get this stuff out is because there's a static electric charge in it that is holding it to the carpet, the upholstery, like a magnet. The easiest way to deal with that is to break that static bond. And the easiest way to do that is with a rubber broom. And the reason for this, the connection here, is I came across this one when I was looking up prices of squeegees, and I came across rubber brooms because many of them have a squeegee edge. Mine does. If you run a rubber broom across your floor, you can do it either way, either the bristle edge or the squeegee edge. They're both rubber. That will break the static bond. It will pick up all of the cat hair, and anything left over, because the bond is broken, will easily get scooped up by your vacuum cleaner. Now, it didn't occur to me until, again, the connection was squeegee to broom to cat hair. It didn't occur to me that people are not really using rubber brooms anymore. I got a rubber broom, which, by the way, I still have. It's almost 50 years old. I bought mine back in the early 1980s at a mall that had one of those stores, as seen on TV products. I wandered into the store for some reason, saw this rubber broom, and thought I should give that a try. I think it was called a Star Glider. Don't remember what it was called. But anyway, rubber broom. And once I started using it, I realized this thing works great. I have not been without one since. Although I should say this, I've only ever owned two. I still have the 50-year-old broom, and I sweep up the patio with that one now, and I do have my new broom, which is probably only about 7 or 8 years old. They work great. So the cost on a broom like this is roughly $20, give or take. You can probably get them for less. They will work beautifully on pet hair. If you have pets, you need one of these. However, keep in mind, we're saving so much money by using dishwashing liquid and vinegar to clean up 90% of our messes, that being able to scoot a few dollars for non-consumables, these are permanent items, tools, as opposed to, just cleaning supplies that are inherently disposable. The $20 you pay for the rubber broom, or the $5 you pay for that squeegee, $10 if you want a super elegant squeegee, they're going to pay for themselves. There's no question about that, because you will be saving so much on the other chemicals. So, where does this end up? We've got 2 cleaning products. Now, I want to tell you this just to be fully transparent. Even though those 2 products will do 90% of your cleaning, depending on your situation, you may need other specialty items. And I took a look at my own cleaning caddy before I sat down to make this video, so that I could give you the rundown on what my specialty cleaners are. Copper, brass, and silver polishes. I need all of them because I have copper, brass, and silver. However, my brass polish is a polish called Brasso. It's been around for well over 100 years. I use it because my father used it to polish up his belts on his uniform when he was in the service in World War II. Okay, so that's how I inherited Brasso. My copper cleaner is Wyman. I'll put up a picture. My copper cleaner is Wyman, but Copper cleaners, most of them are pretty good, and I don't really believe you get that much benefit from one to another. They are inclined to be somewhat expensive. Part of the reason I will use Wyman is because I also use one of their leather cleaners. Again, a specialty. I really like Wright's silver polish, and they do other polishes as well. But that works for me, and they're not extremely expensive. Other products I keep are Old English, scratch cover, and furniture polish, which is a lot less expensive than things like Endust or Pledge. A lot less expensive, and they will do just as good a job. So, because I am keeping specialty chemicals to handle things like wood, leather, metals, I have no problem spending a few dollars extra on the specialty chemicals because I'm saving so much on my basic chemicals. Oh, I have another. I also use stove black. This is something your grandmother used stove black. Just trust me on this. Your grandmother did. Because my stove is an antique, my kitchen range is from 1934. Because it's an antique, yeah, I got to use stove black on it. So I do have specialty chemicals, but what I want to do with my cleaning supplies is make sure that if I have a specialty chemical in my little basket, it's doing a very precise job that I really can't get from any other product. And I can't. I couldn't use Brasso, for example, on silver or copper because it's too abrasive. I can use it on plastic, though. If you've got plastic items that get scratched, oh, Brasso will take the scratches right out. In fact, I've used Brasso to take superficial scratches out of dolls. So rubber, vinyl, plastic, anything like that. Brasso's very good at that. I could use my silver polish on my copper, not the other way around. Again, silver, you want the least abrasive polish, but I don't know. I have the copper polish, so I'm going to use it. But next time around, will I go over to a silver polish for the copper instead? Probably. I doubt I will buy the copper polish again. But can I use Brasso? No, it's just too abrasive. Also, if you have stainless steel appliances, you're going to want a specialty stainless steel cleaner. I'm pretty sure Wyman, and those are the people that make my leather cleaner, among other things, I'm sure they have a stainless steel cleaner. And if they don't, I'm sure Wright's will, because these two brands that I use are very commonly available. But that's what works for me. And the reason I mention the other cleaners is because, yeah, I'm just throwing it out. So, yeah, 90% of my cleaning is done with vinegar and Dawn. And that is absolutely true. But I don't want to give you the false impression, frankly, I would be lying to you if I said that was the only thing I am keeping in my cleaning caddy. No, I do have other products. Do I have a problem with this? No, because things like leather and antique or vintage wood pieces need special care. The wood needs to be hydrated, and will I use Pledge or Behold or whatever those products are, Endust? No, not going to do it. Not on my wood. If I had nothing but contemporary furniture, I wouldn't be troubled by that. But I'm not going to take a 100-year-old piece of wood and clean it with a product that probably has modern polymers in it that will not agree with my antique wood. So it's really just a question of we all have our own specialty needs in our own environment. I know people who will use one or two cleaning products around their home. When it comes to their laundry, they got like 19 products there. It's like, well, this is my laundry soap, and this is my fabric softener, and this is my water softener that I use to soften the water, and this is my pre-treat. It's like, honestly, it's like you need a degree just to figure out what's going on in their laundry cabinet. No. Yeah, and here I am making fun of them. I don't mean it that way. Everybody has their own preferences. That just doesn't happen to be one of mine. And on the other hand, I'm sure people are going to look at mine and say, why do you have so many products to deal with wood? It's just wood. But I love wood, so obviously I'm going to take good care of it. And I could very well be one of the few people around who has stove black as a cleaning compound in my kitchen. So yeah, but if you can switch over to the vinegar and dishwashing liquid cleaning compound, and this is just your basic cleaner. You can clean your counters with it, you clean your sink with it. If it needs to be cleaned in your kitchen, this will do the job for you. If you can switch over to that one sort of multi-purpose liquid cleaner, you can save so much money that you can buy whatever special purpose cleaners you want and not feel guilty about it, because most people are going to be spending a lot more than $2 or $3 a year. By the way, I spend probably less than that on my vinegar and my couple of drops of Dawn. I would be surprised if I even spent $1 a year on that. So most people spend a good deal more. So from an economic sense, I'm going to be able to completely justify keeping stove black. It used to be pennies, I swear. In my grandmother's day, stove black was just, it was so inexpensive. Today, no. It's a specialty product. You have to track it down, and you're going to pay for it because you're probably going to have to get it shipped to you. But do I love my stove? Yes. Am I going to use the stove black on it? Yes. Am I going to quibble about the price? No. Because I'm saving so much money on that 90% of cleaning that I'm doing with water and vinegar and a couple of drops of dish detergent. So that is what I have for you today. Audie he's awake here. I'm looking down, his little eyes are open. And he's lying down on his side. You're being so good. But he was very good. He was very quiet. He doesn't like the heat very much. And I think at this point, he's just content to be next to me because, who knows, I imagine it's giving him some sense of comfort because it's hot outside. Little cat doesn't like that. All right, thanks for being with us. I look forward to seeing you next time. We are going to take a look at a slideshow on the way out. And in the meanwhile, have a terrific day.